Today's topic is something that fills most college students with total dread. Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society, the tale of the successful feedback workshop. Are you afraid of the dark? Anyone? Anyone? Bueller? Okay, anyway. Feedback workshops, like collaborative projects, can be legitimately, dreadful. Often students are given little guidance on what to look for and how to provide feedback. So you're either at a loss for what to tell your workshop partners, so you just say, it's great. Or you're the one getting that feedback and you're like, okay, well, what do I do with this? Both of those positions are frustrating to be in, and either one can feel like a waste of time. But when they're done well, feedback workshops can be really helpful for both the people giving and the people receiving the feedback. For one, you get to see how other students are approaching the project, and for two, you're getting an actual audience for your project before it's ready to launch. But in order to get and give quality feedback, you need to know how to approach that feedback. It's not enough to just read or listen to or watch the project and then just say whatever you thought of it. There are specific strategies that can help you give really good feedback. So, without further ado, here are Dale Carnegie's 7 strategies for how to win friends and influence people. No, wait, just 2 strategies for giving really good feedback. The first strategy is to follow a feedback hierarchy. Essentially, this means you want to address big picture issues before you address smaller picture issues. In terms of multimedia projects, that means you want to talk about content first, then organization, and then technical issues. I'll talk about each of these levels of the hierarchy in a minute, but first, why should you use this strategy? Well, frankly, because this is what your instructor will do when they grade. Bigger picture issues like content typically matter more than smaller picture issues like audio quality. Okay, so first up, content. These are the biggest picture concerns. Some questions to ask yourself as you consider the project. Does it seem to meet the assignment requirements? That is it doing what the assignment asks you to do? Is there supposed to be an argument? If so, does the project make an actual argument, or does it just describe a phenomenon? If it's supposed to be about a particular topic, is that topic thoroughly covered? Is the project in the right medium? Are all of the required parts present? Additionally, and importantly, does it demonstrate facility with course concepts? Typically, assignments are used in college classrooms to help instructors see whether students are learning and understanding those course concepts. If the project doesn't really mention any of those course concepts, or if it seems to contradict course concepts or use them in ways that don't seem quite right, well, those are big picture issues that will need to be addressed in revisions. Next up, organization. Now, how something should be organized depends on both the assignment and on the medium. Videos and podcasts will be organized differently than essays. Narrative structure will be different than argumentative structure. And while there's not really one right way to organize a project, there will likely be better and worse ways. Your biggest cue to whether something needs reorganizing is whether or not something pulls you out of the project. If something makes you go, wait, what? That's likely, though not always, an organizational problem. Often, if something is confusing, it means that information is either missing, or it means that the information that comes later in the project might need to be moved earlier in the project. So that can be on a micro level, like on a sentence level. Something comes at the end of a sentence that should maybe be moved to the beginning of a sentence, or at the paragraph level, or even at a whole section level. With this kind of an issue, you should both note the part of the project that you think needs reorganizing and make a suggestion about how you think it should be reorganized. The author might not take that suggestion, but offering a solution will help the author better understand what was confusing about their original organization, and then they might figure out their own way to reorganize. Finally, if there are technical issues like audio quality, awkward cuts, music overriding narration, things like that, those should be mentioned as well, especially if the technical issue makes it difficult to engage with the project. Like if you can barely hear the project, that's actually a big problem, even though it's at the bottom of the hierarchy. As with other types of problems, you should both identify the issue and offer a solution if you can. So the second strategy is in terms of how you offer the critique along these hierarchies. So first you identify an issue, then you say why you think it's an issue, and finally you offer a solution. And you'll want to explain your critique in a kind way. So use I statements or talk about the project in the third person, saying the project needs X or I would do X here, instead of using second person statements like you don't do blah de blah or you need to do this thing. Granted, the author doesn't have to take any of the suggestions that you offer, but they might hear your suggestions and come up with a slightly different way to resolve it, put their own spin on things. Making a suggestion for how to resolve the issue will also help the author better understand what the issue is in the first place. So, once you've been given workshop feedback, how do you use it? Well, in the same way you gave feedback, focus on big picture issues first and then smaller picture issues. Keep an open mind when receiving feedback. Know that your audience can't just see into your head to know what your grand vision of the project is, and if they've found something confusing or not quite right in terms of what the project is asking for, you should probably at least take it under advisement. Using these strategies should make both giving and receiving feedback from your colleagues a little less scary and frustrating. Hopefully this video has shown you that there's no need to be afraid of feedback workshops. In fact, when done well, they can be really useful and productive. Happy workshopping! Oh crap!